Okay, so I haven't really gotten to a lot of my personal branding in December. That is one thing that I regret. So currently, as I'm filming this, we have already gone into 2025, but I still want to put out this one video and just recap what my 2024 was like, and then also talk about what really are my plans going into 2025. So in 2024, the first month, January, I had gone abroad to study college. I went to Indiana University, as you see the hoodie that I'm wearing. That was my second semester, so I had actually gone last, like in 2023 August. And yeah, like I went over there. It was a really tough environment to be in, honestly, because for me, for somebody who's doing what I'm doing, I'm running my own business at 19 years old. Just to really like fit in and relate to people in college, it wasn't really that easy. And I don't mean to generalize on anybody or anybody there. College, you're going to meet all types of different people. So when it comes to actually business, I was in this weird state where I knew what I wanted to do, I knew what I wanted to do, I knew what I could do, but it just hadn't come to fruition yet. And I was working on my agency. Honestly, when I look at it now, from all those 4 months, from January to like the start of May, I thought I was working on my agency, but now when I look at it, I wasn't really like deeply focused into it. And I think college was a sort of distracting environment for me. Obviously, I don't blame college, I take full responsibility for that. But it did play a role in why I didn't scale my agency that time. Now, when I look at it, I really honestly just didn't put the focus and the energy and the time into that. Um, I still learned a lot of things over there, and I have nothing against college. I don't hate it. I actually had a lot of fun there. So I paradoxically had fun. I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve, but I was having a lot of fun. I was meeting people. I was really just getting to see this other side of living completely on your own in a completely foreign land. And everybody around you is in college, either your age, they're also trying to just figure their things out. So that was pretty much how my first 4 months were. I lived a lot of those months broke, and I think that was also one of the really good lessons that I got to learn in college, which is learning how to actually like deal with money, the importance of it, and then also like meeting new people, being social, um, also balancing that, like having that work life balance, social life balance. I've been an athlete since the age of 10. I already know what that's like because I've like my entire life was dedicated to sports and getting up at 5 a.m., going to swimming, things like that. But I also got to like see this other side of college, and you are also at that place where like you finally learn that everybody has their own story. And you really learn not to judge people that much, because when people go to college, people just change, and they all have their own stories. They're all coming from different backgrounds, different places. You have people coming from Europe, some many international students from India as well were in Indiana University where I went. And I got to meet a lot of wonderful people, not from just my city in Mumbai, but then people in North India, South India, and then also other states in the US. So that way you get to like really experience a lot of cultures. So I think college overall was a good experience. That was the first 4 months. So I come back in May for summer, and then that was when I told myself finally, um, I when I was at that time I did blame college, but now when I look at it, I do take full responsibility for why my business didn't grow that time. But when I came back, I was like, okay, college is over. I'm gonna now just absolutely focus on the business and growing it, because I know I have only these few months to prove that I don't have to go back. And I came in knowing I wanted to go back, and I was planning on going back. I was actually excited to go back, but then deep down I just knew it wasn't the right decision. So I did not end up going back. Those 3 months, May, June, July, I got at it. I had not as much of a disgusting work ethic that I have now experienced and actually understood and seen that's what it takes. But I had that sort of initial start. I knew what to do. I set out to do it, and then I finally signed my first deal in like July. So from May, June, I was just doing my outreach, just trying to get a deal through, and then finally in July we signed our first deal. It was a nice around 11K revenue deal, around like 3K profit, and I was ecstatic. I was over the moon. I was the happiest that I have ever been. And I want to actually talk about that and get into that, because I signed my first deal. I was more happier then than after I finally did like 40K a month profit in just 1 month. And getting that, doing that was like, it's all right, like it's cool. It didn't even really like hit me, and I know why. So the thing is, after I signed my first deal in July, I just stopped working on the business. And I finally understood this, I finally understood why my life sort of like moved in these oscillations where I'd work, then just completely pretty much shatter what I built. So after I signed those first three deals in July, I pretty much just stopped outreaching the agency. And when I look at it now, that's never anything I'm ever gonna do. But I don't feel ashamed about talking about that. But it was the most amateur business mistake anybody can make. Like you just stop your entire sales pipeline, entire sales system, just don't work on it anymore. And when I look at it that now, it was because I was so happy. It was because I got so comfortable, and I finally got to like taste this little bit of success for my agency. So I just completely stopped. And that's also when I sort of like started to understand, when I now look back and reflect about looking at your emotions, understanding it. So then July, the later half of July, I was doing like somewhat work. Then August, I barely did any work. I literally did not do anything for some reason. And then my business just went for a toss. And so August, September, we signed zero deals. And yeah, that's when I again realized. So I realized I had to get back at it, right? Like in my mind, I knew, but then I just somehow couldn't actually get myself to work. So September, then September comes on, I start doing more out. I start building out the outreach, building out my systems, things like that. And then obviously you see some latency. So you start your outreach in September, but then it takes some time to finally get those deals through, because the sales system like it sort of takes time. Like as soon as you get your first positive reply, there's again that sales process to actually closing a deal, and that can take a few days or even weeks. So around like the end of September, I also then again went to my grandmother's house, and I just completely eliminated all distractions. So around September, and I was like, okay, finally, let's go back and do what I've set out to do. And I went to my grandmother's house in Pune. I just stayed there for like 2 good months, and I completely eliminated all distractions. So I actually like have some trackers that I use to track what I'm doing in my day every single day. So just track all the vices, all the good habits that I'm doing, make sure I'm up to it. So when I actually went back today and I saw what I did in September, I was meeting my friends pretty much every day. I was drinking, like I barely drink, but I was still meeting a lot of people. I drank more often than I usually would. And yeah, like I didn't really do the good habits of meditating, reading, and just working on the business, honestly. So I was doing my thing. It's not like I didn't do my hours in a day, but I just didn't do it properly. So when I actually look at it, September, I was over here. I did get back on the business, working on things, but then I actually just had it to I needed to like just eliminate all distractions, go somewhere where I can completely focus. So I did that. I went to my grandparents' house, stayed there for like good 2 months. So when I actually rolled into October, that's when things actually started to move. I didn't see any success until like the third week of October, where I actually was signing like a couple of deals and getting like 3 to 4K per month profit. But um that is when I actually started to visit my beliefs, my emotions, and I was finally able to see through the bullshit. They say that 90% of your problems are personal problems that reflect in the business. So that is when I actually sort of understood and saw, okay, like there's nothing really wrong with the business. There's not anything that I'm doing wrong. Like there's not that one shiny golden object syndrome like thing where I'll finally understand this thing and then I'll finally see the success. It wasn't that. No, it was my perspective. It was my paradigm. It was my limiting beliefs. And that's when I like really dug in. And those 2 months, I had to genuinely like put down all the walls, look through and reflect on my ego, reflect on my beliefs on certain things, reflect on how I actually want my life to look like, and do I actually believe that what I want to do and what I want to achieve is going to happen. And when I first started that, I realized that I did not believe that. In those 2 months, I also finally understood, like not just the work ethic and eliminating all distractions. Instead of trying to control everything, I understood to just eliminate the things that don't really matter and just focus my judgment, exercise my judgment towards one thing, which is getting to my goal. So that way I know what I have to actually add into my life and what I have to subtract, and that way I can focus on that. So I eliminated a lot of things. I literally did not speak to anybody for those 2 months, apart from like family and a few very close friends. I did not speak to anybody, and I am blessed to have friends that I won't go months speaking with, but they're still like my homies. They're my brothers, and I am blessed to have such low maintenance friendships, which not a lot of people have. And for those 2 months as an entrepreneur, those were honestly like the most loneliest, painful months, but those were very necessary. And when I look at it now, I am definitely going to be doing a lot more of that in 2025, just because of the kind of success that you can see. So, I in October, so we signed like around, again, like 10 to 15K revenue. We did like 3K or 3.5K in profit. November we did 30K, and then December we did 40. So this crazy jump that I saw was because of me visiting my beliefs, finally understanding what I have to do and what it takes. And when I look back at what happened in July, I just talked about July when I finally got my business to like finally got some revenue in, because I was about to go dead broke, and I was happy. I got so happy, and that in turn made me comfortable. So when I actually sort of understood it, and when I was just in deep focus work and like sort of monk mode in October, November, I started to pay attention to my emotions. So when I actually saw my success in November, where we finally did like 30K per month in that month, um, I looked at my emotions, and that is why I also know why I was more happy when I signed my first deal than when I'm now, where my agency is so established. And like it's really rare to find some 19-year-old that's doing 40K a month. And like I am so grateful about everything that's happened, but when I actually look at it now, it's just like I had to change my relationship with pain. And that was one of my biggest lessons in 2024, my relationship with failure, which was just those first few months of my relationship with failure. I wasn't seeing any success, but I was persistent. And then for the latter half, where I saw success, but then I was again in this oscillation, and I got proud, happy, comfortable. And my pain state before signing any deals was at like 11 out of 10. I was so dissatisfied, and I knew that if I didn't sign any deals, I'm gonna go broke. Then I signed those deals, and then my pain state was at like literally 0 out of 10. So I finally understood, and this is something that nobody like will tell you. Like I'm 19, I can be making a lot of money, I can be making so much money, but look, to make that came a lot of pain, and that was the pain that I had to go through in October, November. That is why my agency went from 3 to 40, and that's where, even in the agency space, so I had to actually like go through a lot of shit in those 2 months. I had to revisit my beliefs, my ego, and I finally understood that if I want to just keep maintaining what I have to maintain a good level of pain. Now, you don't want to maintain it at like 11 out of 10, because that's usually like out of anger, spite, hate. You want to be like somewhere around like 8 out of 10, where you want to just make sure that you're continuously working, getting that painful state where you have so much FOMO. I barely met any of my friends, barely even spoke to them. I wasn't insecure about my relationships with them, but I was really lonely. I didn't really meet people. When I was eating my lunch, I was like, okay, 15 minutes break, that's it, back to work. I was so strict with my time, and that is what really I saw. That is why I was just like, my success happened because of that. Honestly, I barely wasted any time, and I was actually tracking this. So I have a spreadsheet where I track my units of time. So every 30 minutes, what am I doing in that day? And then in the end, like after you name what you do, like describe it. If it's just working in the business, traveling, errands, eating, whatever it is, just name it, describe it, and then put it as value or waste. So in those days, like the waste time, the ones that were actually marked in red, was like just 2 hours in the day, and that is from me waking to sleeping. So the rest of those hours, I was literally just at the desk. And I'm gonna go and dive into why that's not always the best thing, and that wasn't really the most optimal thing for me. Which is why I also don't see why I shouldn't be doing six figures going into 2025 every single month, because there was still a lot of things that I was doing wrong, and there were a lot of things that I was doing wrong, honestly. But I still managed to like see a really good level of success for any agency owner. Like they, every agency owner's dream is to hit that 10K per month mark, so that finally like past six figures. But I didn't even experience like a 10K per month. I was just like directly from 3 to 30. So I sort of like jumped through that, and my identity has finally like caught up with me. So those last 2 months was really good. And December, I came back home. I came back to Mumbai, where I stay with my parents here. My dad, I don't. I have a. I'm in a single parent household, so I only stay with my dad. But I came back here and I was pretty much able to maintain what I was doing there, not to the highest level, but I was able to do that and also like balance out my life a little bit more. Where I was meeting my friends, I was going out on the weekends, sometimes enjoying, and just like obviously being social, because every guy, every human needs to do that. You can't just always be in that place, just locked in and working for the whole day, for the whole damn year, like 365 days. That's not how you want to do it. You want to balance it, so you don't want to always be on any poles. You don't want to be on any extreme. So that is what I had done, and I still managed to do like 40K that month. And then January is also really set up well, so we'll probably do like around 30 again. So my standard is at least 30K a month now, and my goal for this year is to do six figures profit. That's later down the line. I want to first just absolutely crush that 50K per month mark. So a bit about my plans for the agency. Before I actually dive into 2025, what my plans are, I also want to talk about just 2024, because I had a lot of good personal achievements. So I just sort of gave you the brief story about what happened. And my relationship with failure is different. My relationship with pain is different. I have a different level of work ethic. I know, like, I finally know what it takes, and I've always been the guy to work hard. Like since the age of 10, I've been in the swimming pool at like 5 a.m. working. So I know what that's like. But with business, with entrepreneurship, it's also different. Like you also have to fight. Like honestly, athlete's life was harder. When I actually look at it, that was way more harder, because I'm putting my body through so much shit as well. And for this one, for entrepreneurship, it's more like also like you're the only one sort of cheering yourself. So it has its pros and cons. I'm not gonna actually compare which is better or worse, but yeah, like I've always been the kind to work hard. So the last few months of 2024, I really got to see a nice work ethic, and I finally know what it takes. And then also I understood what it really is like to just be in like a nice zen mode and a nice deep focus mode of eliminating distractions. So, and I don't mean that on just like a daily basis. I mean that on doing that for like on extensive periods of weeks. So I finally managed to crack that. Now a few failures about 2024. Before I actually talk about 2025, my aspirations, my goals, things like that, I want to talk about my failures, and there have been a lot. So I wanted to read a lot, but I barely got a chance to read. I think I'm just making excuses for myself. I kept telling myself I still have to work on the business. I have business number one priority, this that, but reading is honestly so good. And I mean reading nonfiction, reading things that are actually like expanding your mind, expanding your knowledge, making you more well versed as a person, just understanding how to gamify yourself. So I'm gamifying myself throughout, right? But there's the business, but then there's also like meditating, reading, gym, everything. So yeah, all of those things were kept us sidetracked for 2024 for some reason. So even my meditation wasn't at the best. In like the first few months when I was in college, I barely did any of these things, and I that was a failure. That was a pure failure that I have to work on in 2025. My my gym has also not been a lot progressive in 2024. It wasn't that heavy workloaded, and I haven't really like gained the amount of weight I wanted to gain. And when I came back in May, I was just eating a lot of shitty food, like, and I gained like a lot of weight. And I went to like 68 kgs. But then when I went to Pune, my health just went for a toss, and that is also something that I didn't really balance. So I was doing everything right for the business, but my health completely deteriorated, and I dropped like 5 kgs again. And then I also wasn't that consistent with the gym. So in the first when I went in October, the first 2 weeks I went like every day, and then I again like I saw that same oscillation where I was seeing like nice PRs in my workouts. I was squatting more, I was benching more, and then again I just dropped back down. So yeah, like in 2025, I just want to focus more on health. When it comes to the gym, I have different priorities now. It's strength always, but it's not just like how much more can I bench or squat. It's just more like optimizing my gym health, so that I can mentally perform at my best. So when I look at that as overall aspect of my health, that is what I'm focusing on, just maintaining that healthy physical lifestyle, but then also making sure I can use this and focus at 100% every day. So also sleep also comes into that, what I'm eating, my diet, supplements, everything. So I actually invested in a performance coach just at the start of December last year, and we're going to be working now for the next few months. And I'm actually just going to be like really biohacking and just understanding how I can focus more, sleep better. My sleep has gone for an absolute toss, and then also eat better so I can focus on my work. So that, look, I can work 9 hours a day, but if my focus is at 60%, I'd rather work 6 hours a day, but then keep my focus at 90%. Um, I don't believe in like perfection where it's always 100, 100, 100. You have to like balance things out. Things are always in a spectrum, never in like one sort of pole. So yeah, focus is going to be really important. um Now, about relationships, I have utterly failed in my relationships for 2024 as well. You know, I got into this state when I was in like Pune, when I was working on my business, things like that. I got into this like crazy like flow state, and I didn't really prioritize my relationships. I didn't really speak to a lot of my friends for 2 months, and I've not been the best son or the best brother. So yeah, like that is something I definitely want to work on going into 2025. I have a lot of family history. So, like I said, I live in a single parent household. Things weren't always the best in my childhood when it comes to family, but regardless, me, my brother, and my dad, we have managed to get through all of that together strong. And yeah, that is something that I really want to prioritize going into 2025 because, like I was making a lot of money with my agency in the last part of last year, and I still like I always knew and I realized that I can make as much money as I want, but relationships are honestly more important. So your family, your close friends, your best friends, and I mean like the generally like those good friends that understand what you're trying to do and support you for it, even if they're not doing it. So one thing I also want to dive into about relationships, like this whole space has this crazy thing about, oh, like, you gotta leave your friends behind to like get the success, things like that. I haven't really seen anything like that. I don't believe in that. I don't really experience that. Um, Maybe down the line, things will change where it's just like you can't just keep carrying people and dragging that weight with you. But for me, I am just really blessed to have good relationships, and I have like my friends in my city in Mumbai. Like I have known them since like junior KG, like since I was 4 years old, and I'm still like tight with them. Like they're my brothers, they're my best friends. I can trust them, and like I mentioned, I have really low maintenance friendships, so nobody will ever take anything personally if I don't speak to them for a few weeks because they just know, like they understand that I'm really busy. I'm working on my business. Even when I was in school, I was swimming, and I was always just busy. I was never actually in school, so my friends have always sort of known that I just have my own shit that I'm always dealing with. So yeah, like those are actually the people that I can rely on because they treat me the same as I was before. After seeing the success, like I've had so many people actually even just reach out to me and then like, oh, like I'm so proud of you. I always like can you show me what you're doing in this that, and I in my mind I'm just thinking, like some of them are telling me, I want to start a business, but I just don't know this, that. And, I want to help them and I try to give them as much guidance as I can. But, like, in the end of the day, like, I know that they're procrastinating starting a business and it's not really the idea of not knowing what to do, but it's more like just you have to start. And I did that too, right? Like my entire 2024, I had a different relationship with failure because for the first more than half of it, I saw no success. So it's not about knowing what's best idea, like being like Elon Musk, start up, give the next fucking revolutionary thing that's going to change the world. No, like just start something. Like damn it, start it. So I've had people come to me and say, how do I start this? I've been meaning to start this business, this, that, and like I know they don't really mean it. So it's glad that I have those friends that just treat me like normally, like treat me like I'm just their friend that and we don't even like talk about business at all. So you also want friends like that in your life where you can just completely shut out of business. So yeah. um I still need to work on my relationships going into 2025. And then also, I need to be more consistent. So, how I talked about those oscillations that I had in July, August, September, barely did any work on my business. That's never going to happen in 2025. And I finally learned to like I'm going to focus on being consistent. I was inconsistent in 2024. I had these sort of phases or seasons in my life, which you should, but yeah, like now I finally understood the patterns of my behavior, and that's never going to happen again. So I was inconsistent, and then also I just could not relax. I had an inability to relax. My sleep schedule was all over the place in 2024. And I also need to understand, like, when I'm done with work, even on a daily basis, as soon as I'm done with work, find time to relax. For the last 1 hour, 1.5 hours of your day, don't think about work, switch off your phone and just go watch Netflix, whatever it is, do that. Some people in the space are gonna be like, you have to like delete your Netflix subscription and just stop that and just work. But no, like you have to also like learn how to balance things. Like I said, nothing's ever in a pole, so you can't always be working. So I've realized also I need to relax so that I can actually wake up the next day and then work harder. And this goes for like longer time frames as well. For the last 3 months of 2024, I have worked extremely hard, which is why like the last week, like when Christmas time came around, New Year's, I was just out having fun, partying, drinking with my friends, doing whatever the fuck I want. So you need like those sort of lives. You need those sort of oscillations in your life where you just go back into like slot mode for a week, where you can sort of refocus, relax, and then get back in it. Now, I'm not justifying just drinking and just going absolute degenerate mode, but like there are different ways to relax, and that is also something I want to learn and prioritize going into 2025, which is relaxing, but then not having to like go relax, going out having fun, but prioritize my sleep, but then also like spend time with family, like go somewhere like for a nice vacation where it's just peace, like just leave the phone and just switch it off and just relax for like the weekend or something. So that is something I really need to prioritize going into 2025. Now, my goals for 2025 is I want to save at least $500,000. So either save it or invest it by the end of the year after tax. And that is in money, not in like income or projected income, bills receivable, things I don't know, like saved, kept away for the future. I also want to see some six-figure months in the business where I'm just doing like six figures profit. For that, I need to understand how to be a better leader. I need to get more emotionally intelligent. I need to like actually understand how I can just not just hire better, but be a good leader. And I think I'm getting there. Like I'm learning. It's going to take time to implement, but that's again where I have to revisit my beliefs about hiring, managing people, things like that. Even just changing my whole idea on like emotional intelligence, how I can actually build people up. So that's also something I'm really prioritizing going to next year. Just becoming a better leader, becoming a better founder, so I can actually scale and understand how to manage systems so that I'm not involved in everything of the business, but then I'm still able to like scale. Because if I am involved in everything in the business, like involved as in like doing everything, like properly doing it, I'm not gonna be able to scale past 30K, or probably like we'll probably have like a few 50K months where I'm doing everything, but you still need people. You have to hire people. So hiring is one thing that I really want to focus on going into 2025, and then also philanthropy. So what I realized after making this sort of like money, and I've not made anywhere near the money where I can say now I have to not worry about it. But look, I've already like I'm already well off for my future. I come from such a good family that I'm gonna be passed down a lot of inheritance. I'm gonna probably have like a few apartments in Mumbai, and those go for millions of dollars. I'm gonna have a lot of things that will get inherited in me, and I won't have to actually worry about the money. So I'm at that stage where I also need to realize that to actually like keep yourself motivated, I have to outsource my responsibilities for the entire 2024. Is just like, okay, I have to think about me, my base desires, my vacuums, my drive vacuums, how I can just change my life. It was all about me, but now I have to actually like get my responsibility out. So I've actually got my cousin into the agency as well, and now I feel responsible for him. He's 24 years old, by the way. He just finished his masters in the UK. He went to Warwick University. He's come back to India, and we have a family business. Okay, like it's like I said, I come from a really really good household. I'm never gonna claim I am a self-made entrepreneur, things like that, but he had the chance to go do the family business. He tried it for a few months, and then I also was working my agency that it wasn't really that established. But then when I was in Pune, that's where he also stays. So I was with him there. He started seeing what I was doing with the agency. He always knew he was the one. Like he was one of those few people that believed in me, even when I was seeing nothing like happen with my agency, my life, nothing. So props to him. I know that he's always sort of seen the vision, and I'm gonna be getting him on the agency. So he actually chose not to do the family business, but come and work with us. So I'm glad that he's doing that, and now I have to be responsible for that. Like I have a family member that if the agency doesn't do well, if I don't keep it responsible, if I'm not able to keep it to itself and just keep it maintaining it, growing it, his life is also not going to look the best for the future. His future won't be that set up. So I'm responsible for that. So that is one goal. Just outsource my responsibility, because like just think about it. Like there's so many millionaires out there that are still making so much money and showing up to work. if money doesn't really mean that much to them, if they're all their lifestyle, all those needs are taken care of, why are they actually making money? They're doing it because they have responsibility for other people, and that is something that I have to get used to going into 2025. So I also want to do a lot of charity work. I want to do a lot of philanthropic activities and just give away some of my money and actually like show up every day to work knowing that if I don't do my work, then those people, those kids somewhere out there, they don't get what, they're not going to have a better life. So I am responsible for that. So actually by the end of 2025, I haven't done anything philanthropically. Like, I will actually look at myself with proper disgust because I've kept myself responsible to that, and then I haven't been able to do it. And in the modern society, there are going to be people that say you should be happy with yourself, you should be satisfied with yourself. Now, it's a paradox. I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole different topic. But I will look at myself and be in pure disgust, and I will not be happy with myself if I do not do something really charitable next year and just outsource some of my responsibility. Actually make sure that I am responsible for people out there that need it. So that is something I want to do in 2025. And yeah, so I gave you my monetary targets, philanthropy work, and then now also a bit of my personal life. Firstly I want to build this personal brand, so I haven't been consistent in doing these videos. Actually, I started like in November, but then barely filmed anything in December. So this is something I am going to be consistent with going into 2025. I'm going to build my personal brand. I want to put my journey out there because I haven't had the most usual one. People need to know and hear the story and just see how things unfold. I'm not There's not a lot of 19-year-olds that are running their own agency and making this much amount of money, but they're not just about the money, like what actually comes with it. Because like I mentioned, to actually do that, like there's a reason I was more happier when I made my first deal than when I'm doing 40K a month profit. Because, and the reason is because of the fucking amount of pain that has come into that. So people need to see that side of things too. And I also want to make sure that my relationships with my family, my friends, everything is much better off, and the quality of my relationships are going better. And me and my friends, we're growing together. I have a lot of good friends that are really ambitious, that are working hard, that I can have fun with as well. And we are on that sort of same trajectory. So obviously growing in those relationships and making sure we both keep each other accountable and move forward, right? So better relationships. And then also my health. I mentioned all my mistakes in 2024 about my health. Not going to happen again. Now I actually have the help of somebody who's going to be helping me and sort of mentoring me into actually what it takes to perform well as an entrepreneur, keep high focus. And I'm going to have all that information with me so that I can actually act on it. So my health is going to be a number one priority in 2025. And also I want to read more. So the mind this, like honestly, my whole entrepreneurship journey, it started from reading. Because like it's a different way of learning. And I've read a lot of books on philosophy, stoicism, just running a small business, and just mindset related things. And then also like how do you actually have a perspective, how what's your lens on life. And that is what it has taught me. And just today I read, like after a week again today, and I read just 1 hour of Epictetus's discourses book. Changed my it's just so good. And it's so like it's something that just feeds me spiritually. So I have to do that more in 2025. I'm gonna try to prioritize my time in that. I'm not saying that I don't think I'll be able to do that every single day, but I am gonna just finish and read as much as I can because I want to learn more, and it's gonna really help. So yeah, this pretty much recaps this video of what my 2024 was like, my entire like sort of journey, my story there, and then the recap of it, how the events unfolded, what was my emotional capacity there, what were really my thoughts, what was going on, and then also what I have planned for 2025. So yeah, this video is really long. It's about 35 minutes as I'm recording, but yeah, I'm really glad that I got to put all of this out here and then film it for you guys. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope if you've seen this video, you just learn some more, understand some more, get some more knowledge, and probably like see life in a different lens. One thing that I do want to state is I do not see the life or just see this world as the normal, traditional, conventional sense. So I'm going to be talking in my most authentic manner here, and just sort of spit my opinions, my perspectives, and beliefs about what I think honestly, like, um the reason I am where I am is because I have a different lens, a different perspective to this world, and or to just the average person, you could say. Because for somebody my age, I'm 19, but I don't think of myself as, like, mentally at that 19-year-old capacity. But yeah, and that is because of my beliefs. That is because of what I've believed and then acted on and then been persistent through. Because I have these beliefs, I had this belief that yes, I actually see myself doing a business at this age and making something out of it. But then, me coming from a brown household, like, I'm surrounded by everybody, all my friends, everybody going to uni, just going down that conventional path. But I had these different beliefs and I was persistent through that. So yeah, I'm really stubborn that way. And yeah, I'm gonna just show you more about me, my personal life, also what's really gonna unfold with the business, things like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next.